Buying a $50,000 car, Canadian, is no small purchase. And you might be wondering, what was it like driving the Standard Range Plus Model 3 in its first full year? Well, you don't have to wonder, because I'm going to tell you exactly what it was like. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And after you hear the ugly, you're still going to want one. I'm Ryan from Rocky Mountain Tesla, and this is my dog Mozzie. We're sharing the data because it's electrifying. I'm going to tell you right now, you're probably going to learn a lot more after you start driving this car than I can tell you. But I can share the data so that it makes the step a little easier to taking that plunge of going electric. One thing I'll say that there were reasons why I did it. I'm worried about the ocean. I'm worried about our climate, of course, and I thought I can drive an electric car and I can share the experience, the good and the bad and the ugly, and it will only help. One way or another, people are going electric. The first thing I want to talk about is the seasons. What's the good thing about driving an electric car? Well, you can always keep the car as warm or as cool as you want. It's very easy to keep the temperature at whatever temperature you need. Because it's electric, it's fast. But there's also some bad to that, because yes, you're going to lose range as it gets colder, as the weather gets worse. These cars are all about efficiency. So if you have to deal with anything that reduces efficiency, it just has a bigger effect on an electric car than it does on an internal combustion engine, for example. The ugly is, in fact, when weather is really bad, yes, you're going to lose 50% of your range. And even though it's a huge hit, it isn't really that big a hit because it doesn't factor into your total driving nearly as much as people would like to say. And I would like to show you this set of data up here. Sorry, I have to cut off the dog. He's pretty cute, but these numbers are very interesting and telling. So the majority of the driving is nowhere near the cold temperatures, even here in Canada. The coldest temperatures where we would see a hit of around 50% is less than 1% of our driving. And we didn't change our driving habits because we're driving an electric car. If anything, I felt just as confident going out in this car in cold or snow or ice than any car I've ever driven. Speaking about the fit and finish of the Model 3, it has definitely gotten better over time. Just looking at shots here of the car, you can see how relatively even the panel gaps are. Over time, they have gotten better at that. So that is the good thing, that waiting this long before you get this car, they have improved their manufacturing process. And there is some bad, and it's the paint. I choose not to focus on it, because if I focused on this little spot right here, I would probably lose my mind. Okay, it's ugly. It really is ugly. But the PPF does cover that. So if you can get a reputable PPF installer like Ultimate Auto here in Calgary, you can at least protect the car so you don't end up with rust and things like that. The battery. The good part of this battery that's in the Standard Range Plus or any Model 3 or Model Y is that the chemistry is proven. It will last anywhere from 15 to 20 years according to some experts. There is really no long-term concern for this battery. It's still, for the Standard Range Plus, possibly 300,000 miles, anywhere from 300,000 to 350,000 miles. That's just a guess, of course, but that is very reassuring. But you do kind of have some bad, because you have to understand that the battery is going to degrade. And slowly you will lose range, and probably 5 to 10% in the first year or so. And if you look at our graph here, we're at about 5% if you also include the fact that we started with 386 kilometers range, or 240 miles, and are now closer to 350, but about 4 or 5% of that is actually the 19-inch sport wheels. What's the ugly part of this? Everyone who's going to get a new Standard Range Plus is going to have more range than you. The new ones are 423 kilometers, or 263 miles. That is a feeling that you're just going to have to get used to, even though your car is getting better every year. How is your car getting better every year? Well, it gets features that are being added to the car on a monthly basis, sometimes even more often than monthly. You're going to get improvements in the full self-driving package if you get it, or the autopilot capabilities if you don't want to pay for the full self-driving package. Who knows what kinds of things they might add on to your car in the future. Even though you're going to get improvements in full self-driving and things like these, it's going to take years to get there. And if you're not the type of person that enjoys seeing these advancements, and you just want it to be there now, you're probably not going to want to go for that actual feature. The bad, well, your partner, your wife, your husband, if you're the techie one and they're not going to be super excited about you using some of these features when they are buggy, and it can annoy them. It can annoy my wife, honestly, quite a lot, actually, if she starts telling me to stop using it. The ugly, phantom braking. He knows it. He's been thrown off the seat because of it. Tesla has to fix that. I hope their next FSD beta fixes all of those problems. Seriously. It's really annoying. Seriously. Driving this car is amazing. This is hands down the most amazing vehicle I've ever driven. I'm not comparing it to some really expensive sports car. I'm comparing it to a lot of the vehicles I've driven, which have had 0 to 60 times of 7 seconds or under that. And many different cars I've driven over my 20 plus years of driving have been nothing compared to this car. The instant acceleration, the control you have in snowy conditions, ice, etc. It's just nothing you can compare it to. There is no better feeling than driving an electric vehicle. And it's really quiet. The ugly. Range can be an issue in really bad conditions, but the majority of the time we don't have to worry about that range because, well, when it's really cold out or really crappy out, you don't actually drive as much. And even with the conditions of this pandemic, we ended up driving a lot less during the pandemic because there was less reason to be out and about. The best conditions seem to be between 15 degrees and 25 degrees Celsius, and we can easily achieve a 100% efficiency on days like that. You are going to notice that the driving is not additive. You don't get 100 kilometers one day and then add another 50 kilometers the next day, and you get 400 kilometers on a tank kind of thing. Like, if you think that way, a gas vehicle doesn't use as much power as an electric vehicle does. You will notice that you're using power for many different things, and that's also an advantage too of an electric vehicle. So you can keep your dog mode on and keep your dog safe. Things that you wouldn't really be doing, it would be frowned upon, leaving your engine running for any length of time. That it's just different. So I'm not going to get into how much extra electricity we probably use during the year, because it was more than just the driving, because of the features that you have in an electric vehicle mean you will use more power. So you're wondering, is the standard range plus enough range for you? Are you going to get enough range on a daily basis? Well, the first thing I can tell you is, why don't you start looking at the amount of kilometers or miles you're driving on a daily basis? You know, unless you're an Uber driver or a delivery driver, you're probably not doing much more than 20 to 50 kilometers or 15 to 30 miles a day on average. And in almost every case, that will be enough for you in any conditions, even in the cold conditions, as long as you can plug in your car and be charged for the next day. The other big thing that you need to have is a charging solution, a charging setup close by. Either you can set up charging at home with level 2 charging, or you have a charging station nearby, preferably level 2 at work, so you don't use up too much of your battery life. Heavy supercharging will degrade your battery a little faster. We have charging close to our condo that I can on occasion go and park for a few hours and get charged up for when we're not driving it. The only inconvenience to me is really when it's super cold out and I have to walk home and then walk back just to get the car. That can get a little annoying. Honestly, a home charging level 2 would be extremely good if you can do it that way. So you're ready to get your Tesla. You can use my supercharging code in the description of the video down there, and you click on it and you get your free supercharging. Make sure you do that, or use someone else's, that's fine. If you don't, they tend to have trouble adding it later. You go through the process of selecting your vehicle and you're done. They'll contact you in a few days or weeks whenever the car is ready, and you go and get your car, or they deliver it right to you. It's as simple as that. Or are you waiting for something? Are you waiting for that $25,000 Tesla? Well, you could do that if it actually comes out in 3 years. Or there might be a pretty big waiting list, really big waiting list. You thought waiting for a Model 3 for some people was a long time. Imagine waiting for that $25,000 vehicle. It could take a while before they ramp up the production on that vehicle, before they have enough batteries that they're going to need. I don't doubt that they'll be able to do it in the long term, but 3 years, that's a challenge. More than an engineering challenge, it's a physics challenge. If you don't get this car now, you can wait, you can watch other people and enjoy the whole experience from the point of view of a bystander, or you can get the vehicle now. Click the link down below, and don't forget to subscribe so you can keep on watching more Rocky Mountain Tesla.